Okay guys, here I'm going to configure my ESXi host based on this slide number 15, part 1, which is in which I'm going to configure my ESXi host based on this first switch, in which I'm going to add 3 more network cards. And then when you have ESXi host, we have already one management port and we also have one VM network. So I'm going to rename that VM network to production via port group, and then I'm going to add 2 more management ports. So first of all, add these 3 additional network cards. So here, jump onto ESXi. Always remember, guys, where you're adding stuff. So you need to add network cards to ESXi host. You don't need to add it to the Windows machine where the vCenter is. So here, right-click on ESXi host, and then go to settings. And within settings, you need to go add net. For now, it has only one network card. I'm going to add 3 more network cards on this. Sorry? So whatever your network is. If you're using host only, then it should be host only. Otherwise, it's NAT. So here, add network card 1. For now, this is just adding network card. It's like on a physical machine, you just buy new network cards from the market and just installing them in your server. So second, third, add network cards. So now I have 4 network cards. So one default network card, and I've added 3 additional network cards based on this slide. So here I have 4 network cards here. Now secondly, once I add them, okay. Okay, it's giving me a memory error. Let's see what is this memory error for. Okay. On my E drive, I need to free up some memory, disk space. So, okay. So here I've added 3 extra cards to ESXi1, and let's go. So guys, everybody directly log on to a ESXi host just to verify host that the cards are added. How do you verify? So you directly go onto a host, press F2, go into configuration, and then go into configuration, and here within configure management network, and here if you go to network adapters, it shows me only one network card, which means it needs a restart. So if you don't see your additional network cards here, it means that it's not added properly, which means it needs a restart. So how do you restart it properly? You need to press F12. So if you just look at this here, for F12 for a complete restart, so it would ask you for the password. It's asking shutdown or restart, so F11 for restart. And at the same time, I'm going to add, select them all. Oh, yes. No, they don't have to be selected. They don't have to be selected. So here, I'm going to go to my second host, and within the second host, I'm going to add more network cards. So we're looking for 8 more network cards here. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. 8. 10. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 10 network cards added, total 10. And restart this machine. So properly restarting it, F12, password, F11, restart. Now in the meantime, both ESXi hosts are starting. So guys, my first ESXi host is restarted. Guys, before every step, verify what you did. Verification is important. So since it is restarted, before I go on to a vCenter, start configuring it, I first need to log in to the host directly and see if those cards are added properly. Now, once you log in by F2, again, you need to go back to management network and network cards. Yes, it is recording. So guys, here, so in this case, it is still not showing me the network cards. Guys, why is it not showing me the network cards? Guys, the reason is all the network cards, I've added them, but as you can see right here, they are all disabled. They're all disconnected. So keep an eye on this as well, guys. So all I need to do, right click on them, connect. Now, once you connect them, you can connect it right from here, or you can connect from going into settings and go into each network card and make sure this is connected. So even in your case, you might have added them, but they won't appear. The reason is that they are added, but they are not connected. So, yes, in your case, if they are connected, and if you see them in network adapters, all four, so it means you have the card. So now in this case, I don't know if I have to restart this again. Oh yes. So I was just waiting until I go there, then I'll explain it to everyone. The reason is if you need to use all four of them for management traffic, then it has to be selected. So if you read the paragraph, it says it is only for network. If you don't select them, then they can be used for any other traffic. No, by default they'll just be uplinks. Okay, let me show you. So on my second host, let's log in and verify. Guys, this verification is important in a sense because you've added network cards, but they won't appear in vCenter. So if they won't appear in vCenter, you might think vCenter is not working, whereas your basic settings were not true. So for that reason, it's always better to recheck your configurations. So guys, on my second host, it shows me all these cards here. Everyone, just look at the screen for a second. Here it says I have 10 network cards on this, and here only first one is selected. Guys, first one is selected because there is only one used for management traffic. Not all of them used for management traffic. So now, based on our diagram, if we look at this, based on our diagram, okay, yes, okay, and right here, let's log in. So here it shows me 4 network cards, guys. These shouldn't be selected from here. The only one selected should be the first one. Rest, all of the configuration will do it from vCenter. So as long as you see network cards here, it means that your host has additional network cards. Now rest of the configuration, we need to do it from vCenter. Now for that, let's jump onto a vCenter. On the second host, just restart, make sure that they are connected. So if you go here, if you select a network card, it should be connected. But if you connected it now and haven't restarted it, then you must restart it. You don't even see the network card? Oh, which means the X is not there. Okay, so guys, here it is connected. Now I'm going to jump onto my ESXi host. So now I'm connected to vCenter. So first of all, let's configure ESXi1 with this settings. ESXi1 with this setting, which means the very first task is to connect. First of all, we connected those network cards. Everyone, your machine is not working. Huh? Oh. Okay, guys, everyone, let's configure switch 1. So switch 1, first of all, I need to add those 4 additional network cards to a switch. So we must remember there is only, by default, only 1 network card connected to a switch. So other 3 additional network cards are not connected anywhere. So let's do this first. So in order to connect network cards to a switch, you need to go to a host, and then go to configuration, then go to networking, and within networking, as you can see, I have only 1 network card connected here. So let's go to first properties here, and within properties, you go to right here at network adapter. So first of all, go to network adapter, and then go to add, and then here you see your additional 3 network cards you just added. So first of all, you add them, so select all of them and add. So now they are all added to a switch, finish, and close. Now you see that now you have all 4 network cards connected to this switch. Now going back to our diagram. So guys, this is exactly when you do any networking, sketch it on a paper, then go step by step. Because if you try to do many changes at the same time, it will not work out and it will create many different errors that will be very difficult to troubleshoot. So we added the network cards and then we added it to a switch. Now the second task is to create these port groups inside. So I have all 4 network cards connected to virtual switch, and now I need to make sure these port groups exist. So management network, vMotion, production. So first of all, I'm going to rename my VM network port group to production. So I'm going to do one by one all of them. So first production. So let's jump to here. And here my default port group is named as virtual machine port, actually VM network port group right here. So in order to rename this to production, just go to properties again and then go to this port group. So these are the port group with a world-like icon. So here just go to this VM network and go to edit, and here we'll rename it to production. So we are just renaming it to a production, and then all we need to do is full screen and then press OK. So now this is done. Now second port group is called management network. And if we jump onto our architecture diagram, within architecture diagram, so this is done and management network already exists. So which means I need to create one more VM network port group and 2 management port groups. So first of all, one more VM network port group, and we're going to name it test dev. So jump back to vCenter, and within vCenter, so I have 2 port groups. First, let's create a VM network port group with the name test dev. So add, and then here, this is a virtual machine. It is not a VM kernel. It is just a virtual machine network. And then next, and let's name it test dev. So it is a test dev. And here, while you're creating it, it's showing you how many port groups exist already. So there is a production network exists, there is a management network exists, and now you're creating a test dev. So let's next and done. And let's look back to our network diagram here. So just matching this configuration here. Okay. So now I need to make one management port group which is iSCSI with the name iSCSI. Guys, always remember when you're making a port group for VM, you don't need an IP address, but management port always needs an IP address. So this is management port, and this is our first IP address is already given to management port, which is 50. Now I'm going to make another management port which is called iSCSI, but it needs an IP address. So let's go back to vCenter, and here I do see 2 management network ports. So one is this production and one is test dev. And now let's create another one. So go to properties, and within properties, let's go add, and this time we need a VM kernel port. Why am I creating VM kernel port? Because right here, this is a VM kernel port. iSCSI is a VM kernel port. So let's go here. Let's name it iSCSI. 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 And then next, this is iSCSI. The name is iSCSI, and next. And here, you must provide an IP address or it will automatically take it from a DHCP. So in this case, we're going to provide an IP address. So let's provide an IP address from our network, which is, so this host is 50. I'm going to provide it 51. So 51, and next, oh, you need to provide a subnet mask, .0, and done. So this is 1. And next, I need to create just one more management network, which is vMotion. So let's go back to the switch properties, add, and VM kernel. And next, here, let's name it vMotion. And next, and here, let's provide IP address of 52. So 50 is for the management network, 51 for iSCSI, 52 for vMotion, yes. No, it will let you configure it, but it will be like an IP conflict. Both will not work. So it's up to us to provide the right IP address. So, and here, so now this first switch is configured according to our architecture here. So this is our first switch, and here I have one, two, three, four, five port groups with 4 network cards and 1 switch. Let's verify this on a switch. Here I have 5 port groups. So let's say how many VM kernel port group and how many VM port groups. So this is VM port group and production is VM port group. So these are 2 VM port groups, and rest all 3 are management port groups with different IP addresses. So 50, 51, 52, and this switch has 4 network cards. So this is how exactly we configure it. Now guys, there is one thing that is left, and that you can see directly here. Where is all my VMs? So all the VMs that were sitting on VM network, I don't see them on a switch now. They're not here anymore. Before they were part of a VM network port group. So remember, on the same switch you had 5 VMs were here. So guys, those VMs, actually those are these VMs on this side. These VMs are still pointing to VM network, which doesn't exist. So these VMs are actually not part of this switch. So we need to, once we configure this, we need to make some changes here as well. So how do we make changes? Just go to each VM, and then right click on this VM and go to edit settings. So right click on each VM, go to edit settings, and then go to a network card of that VM, and here within network connection, you need to say that it is connected to a production network. So here it shows you how many VM networks are there. So let's connect it to production network, and in the same manner, guys, connect all your VMs to a production network. So right click on a VM and then go to edit settings and then go to adapter settings, change it to production network. So now, once it is done, jump back to your networking setting and make sure that these VMs are part of production port group. So once this is all done, we'll go back to the host and go to configuration, and now here I see that my switch is now completely properly configured. I have VMs in a production network. I have no VMs in test dev. I have 3 different management ports. So this is how we configure a very simple network architecture based on this diagram.